you and I were in a conversation about Chris Paul. You and I and Chris, and you made the crazy ass statement. Let me see if I can find it real quick on my phone real quick. Um, Saying that basically Chris Paul is a fringe top 10 guy.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
pissed me off. Now, you guys know Zach's on the show from day one. He's a day one guy here. Um, and Zach has a issue with Chris Paul. I don't know what it is. I know some person. I don't know. Did he sleep with a former girlfriend of yours? I don't know. What is it? Some shit.
I. It's one thing to act like you're a tough guy or act like you're a man. When you're punching opponents constantly in the nuts early in your career and pretending like you weren't intentionally doing it,
Yeah.
you rub me the wrong way. I
So
think you're a dirty
hold on.
player to begin
Right,
with.
and I get that. So let me read the text real quick. How I start out. So I started the conversation 2 nights ago saying, situation with Chris Paul, everywhere he goes, he's a net positive. And you responded with, everywhere he goes, he has no shot at the ring. And then Chris says after that at the OKC season, he proved he was an all timer. And I said both can be right here. He could be an asshole and all this stuff, but he's still a top 10-ish guy. And you said no, he's the only borderline top 10 point guard. White chocolate than more or less. And that triggered me. Like Jason Williams, really over Chris Paul? What the fuck's wrong with you, man?
Who'd you like watching more when they were playing?
Honestly, I love Chris Paul's game though. So you're asking the wrong person on that one.
All right, well,
Even though Williams was flashy as hell, and obviously he got to help us, got to get us a ring in Miami in 06, but still, stop.
all right. So you agree from even what through your text, he's not a top 5 point guard, right?
I think it's a conversation. I think so. Top 10 point guard. I mean, you know what? We're gonna do this on my basketball retro podcast down the road. One episode, I'll probably do a top 10 rankings of point guards, maybe top 20. Who knows? And so my top three is lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah.
The top three is in order: Magic, Curry, Isaiah. I think
Number 4 has got to be a lock. Stockton, right?
Okay, Stockton number 4. I'm with you on that. Number 5. So this is the thing. I'm not arguing with you about Chris Paul being top 5.
Because number 5 is Oscar.
Because number 5 could be a combination of Oscar. I would say even Jason Kidd could be ahead of him, arguably.
Yeah, Jason Kidd would be 6.
You said borderline top 10.
Yeah, so 6 is Jason Kidd. 7, the only other guy in the pre-1980 would be Tiny Archibald, all right?
Mm-hmm.
To not put him in the top 10 ahead of Chris Paul is a disgrace to the NBA. You're talking about a guy who averaged 30 and 10 during a season. Chris Paul can't average 15 and 10.
Yeah, but Chris Paul's not a scorer, though.
Dude, if they're both putting up 10 assists a game and one scoring 30 versus the other only scoring 15, who's the better point guard?
Isn't point guard about distributing too also, though?
They're both averaging 10 assists a game. So who you? I guess once you go, they're same assist level.
You threw a wrench in that. You threw a wrench in that one because I didn't get the Archibald and for record, he's a conversation be top 10 also too. I'm just saying that you threw a wrench in that one because we were listing out 10 guys and I said, those 5 I mentioned earlier.
So now we're at 7.
Okay,
let's go to 8. 2-time MVP
Steve Nash.
Yeah, the guy who helped revolutionize the offense in the NBA today.
Who you take though? Chris Paul or Gary Payton?
That's where it becomes an argument for number 9, right?
Okay.
Borderline 10, top 10, 9, 10. So now you're like Gary Payton, who led his own team to a finals.
So Chris Paul.
He led his team. He was the man on that team.
Him and Booker only won a 1B. Stop now. Don't do that.
No. He wasn't even 1. He was a 2. Gary Payton was way better.
So you're gonna get a Gary Payton?
If we're going prime point guard, yeah.
I don't know if I can go with that, man. I honestly, my argument for Chris Paul is that every team he goes to, no matter what, he elevates that team. And including this Spurs team this year, who right now at 500, with a bad roster, okay, with Wemby, and he's at least calmed the waters there. The Spurs right now, in the middle, almost middle of January, are a play-in team right now. They have no business being this good right now. Second year Wemby, with the same
Why would they
rosters
not?
last year.
Why would they not? Because Wemby's already top 10. He's already a
Top
top
10.
10
He's
talent
top.
in the
He's probably,
league.
he's probably top 5 now at this point. Oh my god.
All right, so if you want to go, he's already top 5. Then Chris Paul ain't the reason. It's because you have a second-year player who is 7 foot tall, who can do basically anything, who is a top 5 player in your eyes.
But Chris Paul has one of the problems I had with the Spurs last year is that you had those players around Wemby who, a lot of Wemby's scoring last year was on second chance shots or shots that was not run through him. Chris Paul has been able to calm those waters now. They can actually run a fucking offense with Chris Paul for Wemby. You know what I'm saying? So he's been able to at least elevate a little bit of Wemby too, also to where he can calm those waters a little bit now.
But they
That's his
also
value.
weren't trying to run the offense to begin with last year. They were trying to get his feet wet. Right? They were trying to take his.
I see the argument though. Okay, so you get Peyton 9. Then number 10 comes down to Chris Paul. Right. So then comes down to Chris Paul.
Westbrook.
Then
At this point, has Russell Westbrook ever made a team bad?
A little buffering here. I apologize, guys.
Look what's going on right now with Denver. He's essentially the second best player while he's coming off the bench.
So Westbrook or Chris Paul is an argument. I can see the conversation. I think Chris Paul is more of a force multiplier than Westbrook though overall. I think a top 10 list for point guards is really hard because, again, you have guys we're missing. You have guys like Walt Frazier. It's in the conversation also too. And by the way, he has rings, multiple rings. So if you do a real argument, and then you mentioned also in that text about Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Oh crap!
Okay. So Luka.
So the fact I skipped over him, let's move him back. Luka is probably the 8th best right now, with just a few years he's played in the league. He's probably the 8th best point guard.
I'll hear Luka. I am not hearing Kyrie though. I'll hear Luka. I ain't hearing Kyrie though. Kyrie is not a force multiplier in the same way that Chris Paul is. Let's stop that noise. If you want to give me Luka, I'll give you Luka.
All right.
But I am not hearing Kyrie Irving. That is ridiculous.
You giving me Luka already pushes Chris Paul to argument of 10th spot now.
So let me ask you this then: is Chris Paul in the top 10, regardless of where he's at? Is he in the top 10? Or are you going to try and find another guy to put him on number 10, and he was 11?
I'll put Walt Frazier at 10 so that I can knock him out of the top 10.
Would you do that though? Are you just are you doing that because you really believe that? Or are you doing that because
how could I believe it? Because I didn't get to watch him play, right?
But you need the Archibald though.
Yeah. So if I'm gonna use historical context, then you have to put Walt Frazier ahead of him as well.
I think honestly we underrate this too. Also, I think doing a real top 10 point guard list, NBA point guard list, is actually probably the hardest. It might be harder than ranking the top 10 centers all time.
Yeah, because you have the first 3 to 4 locks, and then there's arguments for 5, 6, 7. But then once you get to 8 or 9, it's wide open.
The thing is though, there will be quality guys left out in the top 10 of point guards. I don't think they'll have the same problem with centers. You know what I'm saying? If right now we're talking about Chris Paul not being in the top 10, like you are anyway. I think ridiculous. But you're talking about Chris Paul not being in the top 10 at all. And when we bring up these names like the Archibalds and the Fraziers and people that don't even consider, and those are real arguments for the record.
Yeah, because I also didn't ever watch Oscar, but we know
the impact though. We know the impact.
Yeah.
So, and then you have guys like Dennis Johnson too. Also, wasn't flashy, but he won titles. He was a key component of those Celtics teams. Also won a title on his own in Seattle too. So, I think a top 10 point guard list is harder to put together than the top 10 center list.
Yeah, I think for us, Chris Paul came in right about the time we hit our 20s. And so we hold on to him because he's at the forefront of most of at least half of our lifespan.
But I'm not holding on to that. What I'm saying to you, my argument for him being in the top 10 is more so that every team he's gone to, he has elevated every single one, even the bad ones, even the Thunder. And was it 2019, 2021 there? And there was
Didn't
supposed to
they
be a
go to the
bomb.
playoffs the year before?
No, there was a contract. There was a yeah. When they before they traded away the players, that they had
They
no one
basically
there.
never missed the playoffs, even without him, till they got rid of everybody.
He goes to Houston, and if it's gonna hurt, they beat the Warriors, in the conference finals.
If,
Back in
if,
18.
if.
It's frustrating because like Chris Paul does hurt himself with the injuries plus the playoff failures does hurt. I do agree with you on that one, but he has elevated some really bad teams also too. I mean, you got to give him credit. Like that Thunder team that he went to for that 1 year, that was a salary dump. They traded him there to OKC as a salary dump, and they were supposed to be a
doesn't
lottery team,
mean.
and they were supposed to be a lottery team, and they were 5 seed in the Western Conference that year.
And who do you play alongside at that point?
I don't remember, to be honest with you, because Russ was gone at that point. Russ was long gone at that point. Paul George was gone at that point. Yeah, didn't have anybody there. Was SGA there yet at that point? SGA wasn't even SGA yet. So, I just think that we and I get your, again, you don't like the guy, and I get it. Dirty player, nut puncher, blah blah blah. I get that. And I'm not arguing top 5. I remember a couple years ago you and I were arguing top 5, and you won that battle because I think if you look at broadly a top 5, you have to hold the playoff fields against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guys in the 4, and no reason Stockton gets top 5. Really, honestly, is because of the numbers.
Because he dominated. Every point guard who ever played against Stockton says he was the hardest guy they played against.
Yeah. It was Michael Jordan. They win a title.
So, I'm sorry. He beat so many good teams, and you know what? What did he have? Karl Malone? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Greg Ostertag. Yeah, that was a dominant center right there.
It wasn't for Michael Jordan. They get one of those 2 titles.
Yeah. So let's be honest about what Stockton did. He dominated at his position.
Yeah. But I would never put him ahead of Zeke, though. There are people who will say he's better than Isaiah Thomas. Fuck that shit. Isaiah Thomas won titles. He beat Jordan. He beat Bird. He beat Magic, win titles. It's the only guy can say that.
That's why I have him at 3, right?
There you go. At least you got that right. So yeah, I don't go to bat with Chris Paul. I go for Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas, I'll go to war for. That's the guy I go to war for.
And the guy we got, the third guy in our conversation, is a guy who puts Chris Paul still ahead of Steph Curry. So, I mean,
Chris is ridiculous. Chris is ridiculous. No, he didn't put him all time ahead of Steph Curry though.
Yes, he has.
That's for 1 year.
No.
Oh, he did. I think he did do that
All
on the old pods. I got to listen to our podcast again though, but he did. Yeah, he might have done that actually, and I remembered. And we had a big fight about that, a big stink about that. So I don't know, man. I get it. Anyway,